Well, look, I do think, as I said, Jake, I think things are a lot better in this country than they were a year ago with regard to COVID, with regard to the economy. But we have a lot of work left to do. And I think voters are in a show me, don't tell me mode. I don't think they really care as much about what I'm saying on TV or what you're saying on TV as much as they do about us putting results into their lives. This bill the president's going to sign on Monday, the infrastructure bill, I think is a big step forward in terms of dealing with a lot of the long-standing issues in this country. And I think the Build Back Better bill, which we hope the House will vote on, it's scheduled to vote on this coming week when they get back from Veterans Day recess, is another thing.
Okay, Jason, economically, are we better off than we were a year ago?
I think largely yes. No, and I think Ron Klain is correct. We have a lot of work to do. Of course, we have rising inflation, and that is a concern. And it's really going to take getting out of this pandemic and also, these supply chain issues, which really aren't the fault of Democrats or Republicans. It's kind of a global issue. But I think, we are in a much better place than we were in October 2020, just, generally with our lives. I think we're just in a better place. We're freer. People are moving around. People are able to go places that you weren't able to do in 2020. Maybe people have forgotten what 2020 was like, but that was a terrible time in American history. And then you look at the economic statistics, we're at what, 4.6% unemployment. We were at about 7% unemployment in October of 2020. I think we're doing much better. We're adding more and more jobs. I know that everybody likes to be doom and gloom and they find something to be upset about. Of course, gas prices are an issue. Inflation is an issue. That's without question. And those are issues that need to be worked out. And according to Janet Yellen, inflation really won't go down until the middle of 2022, when hopefully we are really peaking out on the other side of the pandemic. But, to compare October of this year, November, I'm looking at the economic statistics from October of this year to October 2020, and the quality of life that the average American has, I think, saying that it's worse now is, I don't know where you were in October 2020, but, I think we're in a much better place right now.
Well, there are, by a couple measures, things are worse economically. You mentioned inflation. That inflation has outpaced the rise in wages. So people are poorer now than they were in October of 2020. That's just true. I mean, in terms of the ability of their dollar to purchase things has gone down pretty dramatically. That rise in fuel costs, not a small thing. That's 50%, over 50% up since this time last year. In terms of fuel prices growing. And so
but people are driving less too. That's the other thing is a lot of people, one of the big changes in 2020 was a lot of people are working virtually. So there are many people who those rising fuel costs would not or does not affect them the way it did maybe in 2019.
That's true. Although those people are probably going to be more affluent on average than the people who are at the hardest, where they don't have the option to work from home in order to do those jobs.
That is true. But there's also, again, public transportation is opened up. It's not like, when the subways were shut down. I don't know if that was the case in October of 2020, but, people are able to use public transportation again. I think we're, even still, and a lot of the poorest people, that I know don't have cars. They're not driving around everywhere. So,
right, but
a lot of them are using public transportation.
Yes. And that helps, especially if you're in an urban area or a suburban area, which has connections to public transportation. Absolutely. Now, but the other part of it is like fuel prices themselves are not really only for car owners, obviously, and people who heat their homes with this fuel, which of course is going up. They project by at least 50% for this winter, meaning home heating costs are going to go up pretty dramatically. That's a big deal. That's a huge deal, actually, for in an environment where rents have become much more expensive, and housing has become much more limited. And now you add on top of that the cost of the energy price to heat that home. And finally, fuel goes into everything. Fuel is the price of goods that are delivered to your house, the cost to get them there has gone up. And so as a result, you absorb those costs as the consumer. So when the gas costs more to ship that product, you pay more. Also, petroleum is the foundation for most of the American economy's products. So if you have something that's plastic or polyester or any of these, if you're wearing a North Face jacket, it's made of petroleum. So all of these things require petroleum products, and they've become dramatically more expensive. And that's where people feel things on an inflationary basis.